we have been talking about what the Easter season is all about, especially by meditating those mysteries that we lived during Paschal Triduum. Sometimes, we come to Easter Sunday and say, well, I hope all suffering is over, and now it's only time to rejoice. But Christ did not act that way. Actually, if you see how he went and he approached his apostles, every time he saw them, he would show them his wounds, remind them that he was the same person who had died, that was now alive. And during this episode of the disciples of Emmaus, he was also telling them that the Messiah had to suffer. So this is addressed today with this beautiful, beautiful passage of from the Acts of the Apostles, when Philip talks to this Ethiopian eunuch. And let us focus on what were the concerns of this Ethiopian man. He was reading the scripture. He was a devout Jew or practicing Judaism. And he says he's reading the last part of the prophet Isaiah about the suffering servant. You know the book of Isaiah has probably 3 authors. So the first, the second, and the third, Isaiah, so to speak, received this revelation of Christ in his suffering. So the question that this Ethiopian has is very appropriate. He begs Philip, about whom is the prophet saying this? About himself or about someone else? So he's talking about the suffering of Christ. And then Philip evangelized and told him it was about Christ the Lord. But you know what, my brothers and sisters, I think that Christ still suffers, as St. Paul says, in his church. So this concerns us too. We're involved in all this as well. Because throughout our daily life, we all get to suffer. And it seems that it's some sort of a never-ending suffering. And I'm not going to be Jeremiah today, but it is true. And if you are a father or a mother, you always know that, when you bear your children, you know that they will always bring issues to you, and you will probably always have to accompany them throughout their lives, and probably with some sufferings. Some joys too, but you're always concerned. We're always concerned with our children, and sometimes even with our own selves. So this question about the sheep that was led to the slaughter also concerns us in the church. It concerned the original author, the third Isaiah. It had to do with the Lord, mainly with him, because he is the object of the prophecy. But it also has to do with us and the suffering church. Our condition, we are to die. And this always involves suffering throughout our life, and especially, facing death. So the Lord knows this and assumed it when he died for us. And then, yes, rose on the third day. So the reflection upon death and suffering in the Easter season is not a pessimistic reflection, but a very optimistic and realistic one. The fact that the Lord endured what he had to endure, and he is willing to walk with us throughout our different problems, little things, big sufferings, small sufferings, whatever. But he is always walking with us. And he has won the victory for us over suffering. So let us rejoice and be glad that our condition as human beings, the mystery of our condition, has received a lot of light and a lot of strength with the Lord. It has been solved, so to speak, but it's still ongoing in the sense that each of us experiences his or her own life with these problems. But we should rejoice because the Lord is there for us. So every time we look at the crucifix, we should remember that the Lord was crucified for us. And this means that He is there for us when we have to be crucified as well. And this is a reason for great, great, great joy, knowing that we're not alone in this life and that the Lord walks with us every day and will accompany us through suffering and through the final victory.